Yo, yo, what's going on, boys? What's going on, fellas? What a beautiful day to realize your potential, realize your dreams, get to it. Today, I just want to talk about my story and the journey up until this point, what ultimately led me to where I am, and yeah, try and do it in one take, no cuts or stops or whatever. I grew up on the West Coast and in the United States, Portland, Oregon, and Bellevue, Washington, near Seattle. I'm the oldest sibling of three, so I have a younger brother and a younger sister. I'm the oldest cousin. I have probably 15 younger cousins who I'm close with, and they're part of the reason, that I am who I am. I do what I do for my younger siblings, younger cousins, and my family, of course. And yeah, that plays a big part of me being the oldest. Definitely led me to do some things that I do now. I grew up kind of talented and didn't have to work too hard, I would say, to get by. I was always looking to get by without having to do too much and put in too much effort. So for sports, I would go to practice most of the time. Sometimes I would skip if I was just feeling a bit tired or I had any excuse in the book. But sports, yeah, would get by. Baseball, basketball, football would just get by without putting any effort. I was naturally just bigger, stronger, faster than those around me. And I wasn't, the best in the country, but the competition I was playing against, what I saw with my eyes growing up, I thought I was pretty good without having to do any effort. I thought I was going to the league. Which one do I want? Baseball or basketball? Do I want to play in the NBA, or is the MLB a better suit for me? And so, yeah, my sense of self was kind of skewed because I had never played on such a big stage. Portland sports are all right. Seattle sports are pretty good, but I had never seen real competition, I would say, until I was a bit older. School, same thing, would get by, do the homework 5 minutes before class, wouldn't ever study and do the test, kind of wing it, and I would get by with C's and B's. I would live in that range. C plus, B minus was the sweet spot without having to put in any effort, uh, and I was pretty good at just get putting in low quality, low effort for a mediocre result. I was amazing at that. At finding ways to do as little of work as possible to get a mediocre result. And everything, relationships came pretty easy, friends, sports, it just, life was just pretty easy. I was living on kind of autopilot with getting mediocre results, and I was fine with that. But I always had this big sense of self. I always thought I would do something great. I saw some things. I was in the vicinity of some money growing up. Nothing crazy, but I probably rode in a Ferrari when I was pretty young, and so something like that. Having friends of my grandparents' Ferrari. You see some things, so you know what's technically possible, but I wasn't around it enough to know that it wasn't how to actually get it and how important the mindset is and habits and daily actions. And so I thought that I would just get there someday. I would get there. I thought I was going to the NBA, NFL. I was always decent at music, not great, but decent. So I thought at any moment I could be an artist. I just thought something would just come to me. And so, yes, I had the ego. I had self belief. I always knew that I could be something, but I had never worked hard at anything. I didn't know how it would come true, and so yeah, it took a while to get it moving in the right direction. So everything was kind of on autopilot until maybe seventh, eighth grade is when I get introduced to better athletes, more talent, a more disciplined way of life. At the time before, I could do whatever I want. I could eat junk food and snacks. As a kid, you don't really know, but I didn't have to practice, didn't have to do anything outside of the bare minimum and could do all right. But then at this point, 7th, 8th grade, I'm playing on, one of the better teams in the best team in the area and around the best players in the area. And this was a rude awakening for me. I'm maybe 12, 13 at the time, thinking I'm on the top of the world, and my ego is just telling me that I'm really close to the success that I've wanted. I'm 12, and I'm thinking it's coming. But once I get introduced to these other guys, I realized I wasn't on the level I thought. My natural abilities weren't as crazy as I thought. Everybody else had caught up at that point. They had just hit a nice growth spurt to catch up to me. I wasn't as qualified as I thought compared to the bigger fish. I was always around small fish, but I got introduced to bigger fish and realized I wasn't really where I thought I was. And this was a big moment. For some kids, they would choose to grow and use that as fuel and always be around these guys and attach themselves to these guys who were on a higher level, who were better than them, and get uncomfortable and want to grow and want to learn and want to practice. But I shied away from it. I shied away. I didn't want to go to the practices because I wasn't the best. I didn't want to go to the games because I was afraid I was going to go 0 for 3 against one of the best pitchers I've ever seen. I was afraid of embarrassing myself and not realizing and living to that ego that I thought that I had. And so I was skipping practices still. I was on a better team, had a great opportunity to get to the next level, to really elevate my game, which, if you're elevating one area of your life, expect to elevate others. So if you can be around better people, that'll probably improve every area of your life. So I had a great opportunity here through sports to improve every area of my life. Get around better people, get around more talented, and see bigger things and see what's truly possible. Be around people who have done what I wanted to do. But I shied away. When I would go to the games, I wouldn't really assert myself. I was shy and timid and wasn't playing confidently because I knew I wasn't putting in the work. So when you're not putting in the work, you can't expect to be all confident in some situations. And so my confidence starts going down. I'm not who I think I am. I start shying away from the big moment that I had always wanted, and that stayed the same with every area. I still stuck around with the old friends that I had. I had an opportunity to be around these savages, but I shied away. And I thought these old guys that I was around were at a lower level, were at more my level. I'm a bit ahead of them, so maybe it's comfortable for me. I can be the big fish in the small pond. And that stayed the same with school. I still didn't work hard. I kind of gave up on everything. I was like, man, if I'm not really that talented and then I'm going to have to start working hard for sports or for school or for whatever, then maybe I might not work hard at all. Maybe I'll just accept that I'll be kind of low level and below average always and not realize my potential. So I shied away from the moment. And come to the next year, come to high school, same thing. I took that negative momentum and didn't believe in myself the way I should in any aspect. See, I still got by. When I'm saying I still always got by. To this day, I could probably not work hard at anything and still get by. But who cares? That's not impressive. Who cares about getting by, okay? So, I still do decent in high school. I do, probably average everything. Average sports, average school, average everything. And I just accepted that. I still had the belief that I could do something great. I still expected it to come, but I was getting more and more introduced to the point that if you want to do something great and something special, you have to work. You have to change your ways of being. You can't do the things that got you to this point I'm getting a little notification on my phone. Hold on. Hopefully that didn't cut anything out, but yeah, I'm getting to the idea that you can't do nothing. You can't do the bare minimum and be great. Okay, so I always wanted to be great, but I always wanted to do the bare minimum. So I was starting to understand that you had to pick one or the other. You can be great and put in all the work and do everything possible, or you can do the bare minimum and have an average, below average life. And this was a big point for me. I get around better athletes. I go to high school. It's Oregon, so not crazy athletics at all, but one of the, best in Oregon. But who cares about that? It was decent athletics. And I still wasn't great because I couldn't commit to doing everything possible. So I'm getting average results with everything. I want to make money, don't know how. I want to become an artist, don't really care to put in the work. I want to be great at sports, don't care to go to practice, don't care to put in the extra effort. It's not about practice. You can go to the hour and a half practice, you can go to the games, but are you doing before school? Are you staying up late? Are you getting the coach who specifically helps you to get better at one thing and then getting another coach? Are you doing everything possible? And I didn't want to do any of that. So fast forward, my whole high school experience was average. Just got average results with everything. Average sports, average grades, average relationships, average everything. Average everything. Don't really make money. I don't really do anything that I said I would, and haven't lived any big experience yet. So that's what, maybe age 18. And at this point, everything's kind of going downhill. My self-esteem, my confidence, my belief in myself, my habits, my actions. I'm doing negative things. I have no big picture, no purpose. So whatever's easiest in the moment is what I choose to do. I get introduced to drugs and alcohol and all this, and that's easy in the moment. So instead of doing something productive, of course that's going to be what you choose to do when you don't have any big picture, when you lose track of who you are, when you lose sight of who you are and who you're becoming. So this big goals and visions and big belief I had in myself slowly starts diminishing, and I'm losing it in these quick fixes. I'm losing it in doing pointless activities that can make you feel good for a minute or two and then have negative side effects later. Instead of doing things that build you up in the long term and build healthy habits and life-changing actions and results, I just lose myself in the moment. I don't even know who I am at this point when I end high school, and I thought I was always going to be this athlete, or I thought I would already be a successful artist, but I had never done anything to prove to myself that I could make those things happen. I had never worked even somewhat hard on anything in my life. For 18 years, I had never worked even somewhat hard on anything in my life. So of course, after you do that for long enough, you're going to start believing that maybe it's not possible. Maybe you just don't have it in you. So that's what happens. I start believing I'm not made for anything more. What was my first job? I take this construction job. I was working shoveling sand in 105-degree weather for 8 hours a day. And I remember crying on like my second or third day. I'm shoveling and I'm just trying to hide, and I'm crying, thinking this life's not for me, and not sure if I should accept that this is my reality now, or if I should start trying to change my life. So I'm complaining every day. I'm crying. I'm thinking I should be in a different position. I think it should just be handed to me for some reason. But I'm also somewhat accepting that this may be my future. And so for about a month or 2 months, I'm doing this construction job before college. I was getting ready to go to college. I'm doing this construction job. Just no, just the lowest points of my life, and I would say the one thing that I did have was the gym. The gym, I was going every day, twice a day sometimes, which is not good for results. But when every step you take is painful, and every step you take you got this weight on your shoulders. Sometimes you got to just find an escape, and the gym was that for me. And so I keep going to this construction job, getting ready for college. I'm thinking, all right, maybe this is it, college, and get the low paying job after, and this is the new reality. The dreams, they're too far out of reach. They're too unrealistic at this point. I'm 18 at this point, and I'm thinking I'm way too old. I'm thinking it's all over for me. I put my hands up. I surrender. I what is it? The white flag. You throw the white flag in. It's over. So I go to college. I go to the University of Oregon. I'm from Oregon, and I choose to go to the University of Oregon. Well, now that I think about it, I that was one of the only decisions that I could make, because I did all my college applications in about 5 minutes each. I applied to Gonzaga, where my family went, and I didn't even get in there. My family went there. I'm pretty sure my grandpa probably gives some money there, and I didn't even get in because my grades were average. I did the application in 5 minutes, and so even the advantage that I had of somebody paying money, I still wasn't qualified because everything was average. I think USD, University of San Diego, same thing. I apply there, not even close to getting in. So yeah, Oregon. It was, I guess, the third one I applied to, and yeah, got in there. I guess it must be easy to get in there or something. So I go there, and the problem is I already know a lot of guys coming there, right? Which isn't the worst thing in the world. You got your friends that are coming there, but it's an easy way to just be average. It's an easy way to get caught up in what everybody else is doing, and it's hard to differentiate yourself when you're still with the same guys that you've been around your whole life. They know you for a certain way. They know you for certain habits and actions, and you know them for certain habits and actions. And it's hard to change when you don't want to, let somebody down and have them change their opinions of you. So that was a mistake for me. Going to the University of Oregon was a mistake. It was pointless. I knew a lot of people there. I was in the same crowd, in the same group, you know, still doing negative habits, have limiting beliefs, had negative self-talk, had a lack of confidence at this point, accepted my life as a modern day slave, and that's what it was. So I, I'm still, there's still this point of me that's saying I'm meant for more. So while everybody does the frat route, I kind of, I wanted to do the frat route. I'm around these same guys. They're kind of influencing me to go to the frat route. So I think it's the initiation, they call it, or something like that, when you go and test the frats. So I go test a couple frats. All my friends are doing one frat. They're all just automatically all doing this one frat. And so I kind of wanted to do that, kind of wanted to separate myself. And at the end of the day, I just did neither frat. So I'm in college. All the guys I went to, they're in frats, and I'm not. So at this point, my low confidence is even having trouble for me meeting new people. I'm kind of getting all unconfident and don't even want to talk to anybody, and kind of want to just at a low level of everything possible. Everything I'm doing is just sloppy and negative, and I'm wearing a hood at all times with a terrible outfit, just sloppy. And everything ties together. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So you talk to yourself in a negative way, it's going to affect everything. How you look, how you dress, how you speak, how you act. Okay, so I'm in this downhill spiral of every aspect of my life is going downhill. My physique's bad, confidence is bad, my relationships are becoming bad, relationships with family are becoming bad. I'm not the role model to my younger siblings and younger cousins that I once was or that I always wanted to be. So every aspect is just negative. And part of that was just the environment. Like I said, I was around the same people I had already proven myself to have negative habits and negative actions and negative beliefs to. So it's hard to change that once you get around that. So basically, I'm pretty lonely. I'd always been like this lone wolf, you could call it, like this guy that didn't need people to be around. I was always good at being by myself. But get to college and it got too far. I was around myself for month in a row probably without barely speaking any words. And when you're in a negative space, that could be dangerous. Okay, so every aspect is getting pretty low. So my parents start seeing that. Luckily, when I get back to home for Christmas or Thanksgiving, something like that, my parents start telling that I'm in a pretty bad spot. So they have the decision for me to drop out and take the semester off. I think was the plan. Take a couple months off and then go back. And it was mostly my parents' decision. I kind of was in the middle. I kind of wanted to stop, kind of wanted to, thought, maybe it wasn't the worst idea to keep going, but, they thought it was better for me to stop. So that's what I did. I stopped, and I think their thought process was maybe get this guy in therapy, let's get this guy back on track, and they wanted me to go to this business therapist type thing to where it's not just sit there and talk about your feelings, because I had already done that in the past and I would lie to everybody, and it was a waste of money, waste of time. I would skip the sessions. So they were trying to come up with a good approach to get me back towards a purposeful life and back to myself and the guy they knew I could be, because they knew that had kind of I disconnected from my best self. I knew it too. I kind of didn't want to make it, didn't want to say it out loud because I was just living a super comfortable life, right? That's what I always wanted. Do as little of work as possible to get mediocre results. And that's what I was doing. I was doing no work at all and still getting by with school, getting by with whatever I was doing. So at the end of the day, I thought, all right, let's stay home this semester or trimester, whatever it is, and get back to the basics, get back to the roots, trying to find myself, you could say. So I think right as I get home, COVID actually happens. So there wasn't really this period of me working on myself. COVID happens and everybody's back home. Me thinking maybe this is a time I could just kick my feet up, sit, lay back like this, relax, indulge in every bad habit you could possibly think of. And I have a great excuse. If I get super fat, it's all right. I have a great excuse. COVID. If I lose all my money and lose all my friends and become a monster version of myself, it's all right. COVID. Okay, so I thought I have this excuse. Why don't we just kind of ruin ourselves? So while I'm supposed to be in this period of getting away from school and working on myself and getting back to the roots and back to the basics of who I am, I kind of do the complete opposite. I just start indulging even harder than I had ever have before. I remember these little, pens, the weed pens. It's probably typical to go through a cartridge maybe in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I was going through one of these a day during COVID. And at the end of every day, my mind was like, I couldn't think. I couldn't think. I barely knew my name, barely knew what I had done over the last 24 hours. Couldn't talk to anybody. Was building up this anxiety, this depression, these negative thoughts that I had built over the last couple years. From end of high school through that first semester of college, through the beginning of COVID. That's probably a year or two period where everything's at a low level and every day is kind of tough to wake up, and the gym is still the kind of one thing that's getting me going, but I'm still not utilizing that like I could, and I'm overdoing it, and I'm getting injuries because I'm overdoing it. So that is another setback. And so just this period of unpurposeful life for 2 years through COVID. Maybe, I don't know, 6 months after I leave college, I meet well, basically I end up getting a job for Nike. So I start working for Nike. It's a job I somewhat enjoy. It wasn't this construction of shoveling sand where I was crying during the day and complaining at all times. It was a pretty enjoyable job because shoes were one of my favorite things in the world, sports one of my favorite things in the world. So, and I'm in Portland, Oregon, where the headquarters are in the Nike campus, and amazing buildings and amazing venues. And so it was a pretty solid time. So I'm starting to get this spark back. I'm starting to think maybe I can work my way up at Nike. Maybe that's the dream. I grew up going to Nike employee store. Why don't I work there and then eventually work my way up? So, at least I have somewhat of a mission, somewhat of a plan, somewhat of a goal to work for every day after 2 years of not having anything to strive for, nothing to work for, not knowing where I'm going. I'm somewhat getting back on track, got my feet under me, taking the first step of getting this job. And yeah, so like I said, one of my favorite things in the world ever was shoes. Growing up, there was times when I would have no money, but maybe for my birthday I would get $100 or $200 and immediately go buy a shoe or two. So I had no money, but at times I would have 40 or 50 pairs of shoes growing up because every bit of money I would scrape up through doing whatever would go immediately to shoes. So this was always a big passion of mine, always a big hobby. I liked collecting shoes. I loved researching shoes, understanding who wears what, why do they wear this, who's designing these, who's the name behind these shoes. So shoes were just always a big interest to me. So I'm finally working at Nike. I'm around all these shoes every day, and it's pretty fascinating. It's pretty fascinating, I must say. So I have this kind of plan. I have this somewhat of a roadmap, and at the time, the sneaker market is booming. The aftermarket, the resale market is booming for sneakers. It's booming for shoes. Jordans, Jordan 1s, Nike Dunks, Jordan 4s. What else is popping at the time? Maybe Ultra Boosts, some Adidas, some Yeezys starting to pop off. So I start hearing about the shoe market. I had always loved shoes. I had collected shoes. I had done many school projects about shoes, many dreams I had about shoes. But I didn't even know that there was this secondary market that you could buy them and sell them for a higher price. And so they're going crazy during COVID. Everybody's getting these stimulus checks and they have money to spend. They can't leave their house and they want to get some new apparel, some new outfits. So everybody starts buying these shoes. Well, when people start buying the shoes, the price goes up. So I start hearing, I'm in Portland, Oregon, a great place to be in for reselling. So I start hearing about the resale market and about how these shoes are profitable and how you could buy them and sell them. And you could go to a Champs Sports, you could go to a Foot Locker, and if you get there on time and maybe you enter this raffle, you could buy them for retail and then sell them right after for more money. And this intrigued me because it was the best of both worlds. I could buy shoes, something that I loved, something that I was passionate about, and then quickly make profit and earn money, something which everybody's passionate about. But it was kind of bringing myself back to this dream version of myself. I always wanted to do something great. I thought, all right, if I could start selling shoes and I could enjoy it, maybe something good could come from it. So I start learning about shoes. I start throwing myself into the game. The Mocha Nike Jordan 1 highs were the first shoe that I bought to resell. It was the first time that I learned about the market and learned that you can buy these. And instead of just lacing them up and wearing them right away like I would in the past and wasting money on that kind of, I understood that let's be smart about this. Yes, these are cool shoes. The Mocha ones, very cool shoes. I could look cool to other people by wearing these, but I could make money. Instead of looking cool, I could make money. I'll choose this one. Okay, so the Mocha ones, I get 3 pairs of those, I remember, and I sell them that same day to a guy who ended up kind of becoming a mentor of mine. But I didn't know where to even sell them, so I post them on OfferUp for just for a price that I wanted. I didn't even know what they were going for. I just listed a random price that I thought was right. So I list them for like $300, I think, which was a lot more than I paid, but they were going for about $450 at the time. So I could have got a total of 400, 500 more bucks between the 3 pairs. But, you know, I made my profits. I learned from my mistake of that I just listed them for too low and that the guy that I sold them to got a great deal. But it all worked out. Like I said, I ended up becoming friends with that guy. He taught me about the game, and he taught me, you know, how to actually list the shoes and what they actually go for. So I made a bit of a mistake, but used it as a learning lesson, made a connection from it. And I just get obsessed with selling shoes. After that, I start buying as many as I can. At the beginning, it's maybe a couple pairs a week. Then it becomes a couple pairs a day. Then it maybe becoming 10 pairs a day. And soon enough, after a year, 2 years, I have to kind of start limiting myself to how much I'm buying, because I always loved buying so much, but I would have a tougher time selling to keep up. I loved buying shoes and always getting new things. I always wanted new things, but I had a tough time getting rid of inventory as fast as I was buying it. So, you know, in a year I scaled pretty fast, and this became my full-time job. And every day, instead of me having to go to Champs Sports and Dick's and Foot Locker and all these, I had guys starting reaching out to me. I had clients who, when they would get a shoe, they would just reach out to me, and I would kind of take a small profit. And, you know, it saved them time, it saved them hassle and a risk for disaster. I took on the risk, and I gave myself the chance for profit. So I was spending a lot of money. I was spending 100,000, 200,000 a month to get profit or to get inventory in order to make 10, 20,000 a month. Okay? So I was making a decent amount, but I was spending a lot of money, and I wasn't careful at times. I got scammed many times, took big hits in the business. And you know, I'll go into way more depth of this business and this 3-4 year period of sneaker reselling and what it taught me and what all it did for me. But today, yeah, I just want to say that, you know, sneakers and reselling it helped get me back on my 2 feet. It helped change my life back around. It helped gave me a sense of who I was and what I enjoyed, and gave me a purpose to wake up every day, and it gave me a reason to learn about self-improvement and getting better and doing the work when you don't want to, and building discipline, building habits, the power of a routine. It gave me all that. It brought me good connections. It taught me about business. And so, yeah, it was a very important part of my life. Very important part of my life. So I'm basically reselling for 3 or 4 years. 2020 to early 2024 is when I stopped doing it full time. And early 2024, at that point, I kind of take a hit from my income. I'm not working on the sneaker business as much, and I want to go into different things. I want to improve myself. I don't want to spend as much time just spinning my wheels in the sneaker business, but I want to start improving myself so in the future I'm capable of becoming the man that I always thought I could, and becoming that the best version of myself, and ultra successful in every aspect, not just money. That's just a part of it, but successful in every aspect. So I take some months to go to networking events and invest in myself, and invest in knowledge and courses and mentorships, and get myself around the right people. And I learned a lot about business at this point. I had changed some of my habits to scale the business. I took it myself more seriously. I devoted myself to somewhat of a different life in order to get better at this sneaker business. But then when I take a bit of a break from the business, I take a bit of a hit to my income. I have the belief in myself again that I don't need the money right now. As long as I'm working on myself, I'll build a better future for myself. So that's what I do. I'm not making as much money, but I'm learning more. I'm getting around better people, higher quality people. I'm challenging myself, getting uncomfortable, going to new places. And I'm using the money that I had made over the last 4 years from sneakers to invest in myself. I didn't go, this is very important, I didn't go and buy a new car. I didn't go and buy the new penthouse. I didn't go and waste all my money at the club. I invested it back into the business, but then once I removed myself from the business, I started using that money that I had made over the years and selling inventory in order to get to these events, in order to buy these tickets to new places and new experiences. So that's a big point. I was smart over the last 3 years. Before that, up until the sneaker business started and at the lowest points of my life, as soon as I would get money, I would go spend it on something that didn't matter. So that was one shift that I made. I was smarter about my money and took myself more serious and knew that if I had spent money on myself and invested it into my future, that I was going to do the work and I was going to, give it a positive return on investment. And so these next 3 months of the beginning of 2024 up until about June, I'm growing at an amazing rate. Not really my income. I had built a sustained level to where I could take some months away and kind of sustain the decent level of income that I had built up. But every other area of my life is getting built up. My physique, my health, my relationships, my knowledge, my discipline, everything. My limiting beliefs are starting to become changed. My habits are becoming better. I'm understanding the power of a positive mindset of, you know, wanting to get better and the power of routines. And so my whole life is starting to change. Even though my income is not really changing. In fact, it's lower. I was okay with that because every other area of my life was catching up, because your business is never going to outgrow your level of personal development. So you need to be at a high level. So everything is turning around. Everything's going good. I'm starting to get purpose driven. I'm quitting some bad habits. I'm getting myself around other great people, and just everything's changing. And then last July, I believe, is when I moved from the West Coast. I was living in Portland. I moved and dropped everything that I had built and everything that I had to go out to Colombia, where I currently am. So that was a big moment. That was about 7 months ago. I didn't know anything about Colombia, didn't speak the language, knew nobody here, knew nothing about the city, was going to live with somebody who I had met for just briefly a couple months before at a networking event. And so it was the first big risk that I had taken. I had taken a risk by starting the sneaker business, by spending a lot of money on inventory. But this one was different. This was an investment totally in myself. With, I just had the belief in myself that I could come out here with no set plan and no security lined up, and I could just make it happen. And so, the last 6-7 months I've been moving around. I've been here, I've been Colombia, I went back to the States for a little bit. Now I'm back here, and I currently coach people online. I have a fitness program, and I have a overall fitness mindset, habits, lifestyle program. So that's what I currently do now. I get to help people do what I did in the past by going from the lowest moment of my life to finding purpose through a business, through a passion of sneakers that I had growing up. I got to scale that business. I got to make mistakes. I got to get scammed. I got to be in debt. I got to mess up. And then started investing in myself and learned that I had to drop some habits, had to drop some people and get around new people and new experiences and new data sets in order to get to the next level. And then I got to move out and start living a completely different life and change my identity. And because like I said at the beginning, when you're around the same people your whole life, it's hard to become a new person. But when you get into a new environment and get around new people, you can choose who you become. You don't have to be the same person you always were, because you're around new people and new places. You can do new things. You can be a new person if you choose and if you start acting towards it. So that's what I do now. I help people do that. I help people get in shape if that's what they want to do. Maybe you already make money. Maybe you have a successful business. Your relationships are good, but maybe your relationship with your health and your physique is not the best. And you maybe don't know what you're doing and you go to the gym but you can't seem to get results. That's what I do now. I help people find out what they're missing, keep them accountable, and get them the results physique-wise that they want and health-wise. Or if you want to take it a step further, we can take a look at all your habits, everything you do right now, the way you think, what got you to where you're at today, and I can help you redesign all that. Get into a different environment, learn how to make money in order to get into a new environment and experience new things and get around different people. So that's what I've been doing the last 7 months. I wake up every day fulfilled. I wake up every day purpose driven. I know that I'm on a mission. I want to help people. I want to get people to understand that no matter if you're at the lowest point like I was and didn't want to wake up in the morning and didn't want to take another step and didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel, I want everybody who's in that position to know that with some lifestyle changes and some different beliefs and a different way of viewing yourself, you can change all that. And so every day I'm living my dreams. Of course I don't have everything I want. Of course I'm not everything that I plan to be, but I'm enjoying the moment. I love who I am at the moment. I love what I do. I love the man I'm becoming. And just because I'm not where I ultimately want to be, which is not really a thing in the first place, because life's not a destination. It's a journey. It's a process. There's no end goal really. You don't just hit some number or something and then you're good. No, it's always every day is a new journey and a new battle to get better. And that's what I'm doing now. So I'm enjoying the moment. I'm understanding that I'm not where I want to go, but I understand how far I've came from that version of myself who knew that I wanted to be this and wanted to be something great, but didn't know how and didn't know that it was possible. I'm realizing that with my own two eyes. I'm documenting that. I'm trying to be better about documenting it and being as authentic as possible and really helping people and understanding that as the oldest cousin, as the oldest sibling, as the oldest son of my parents and the oldest grandson of my grandparents, that I've got to do something special. And so that's what I'm trying to do every single day. That's who I'm becoming. That's the journey I've been on for the last 7 months after growing up with a great life that I didn't utilize. Got into some low points, got around the wrong people, did the wrong things, picked myself up through business, invested in myself through knowledge, through people, through experiences, and now I'm on this path to help others do the same thing, help others realize their potential, and try and become that version of yourself that the younger you would be proud of. At the end of the day, we're trying to become the version of ourselves that younger version wanted us to be, and making our future self proud by doing everything we have to do in the moment. Because when we get to that future self, you're either going to be left with regret and what ifs and you should have done this, or you're going to be thanking yourself for realizing your potential, working hard every day, becoming the man you're supposed to be. That's what I'm doing. I hope you can do the same. If you stay till the end of this, you're one of the people who will take initiative, will take action. If you want to DM me on Instagram, let's do it. I can see how I can help you. And thank you so much for watching. Let's go, boys. That's my story. Start living yours.